Whitby, can you believe we are already in May? If you are counting, that means, we are a third of the way through the year now, not just a quarter. 8 months left to go, 4 months down. What did the market do in April? For this week's weekly Whitby Wrap, we're going to look at the entire month. So strap in for the other side of this intro, and let's see what happened in Whitby real estate. Hey everybody, it's Robert Marsiglio here from the Robert Marsiglio Realty Group, serving Durham region and focusing on Whitby. Just like we do every week, we're going to look at the numbers today. A little bit of a different setup you may notice. The sign is, where is it? Back here today. We are going to dive into some numbers. I got my spreadsheets all up, all the numbers that I do track. Some interesting things going on in the Whitby area. I'm sure you're reading about the kind of price slowdown, activity slowdown. Let's dive into all of that, looking at our major markets, and also diving back into kind of condo apartments and condo towns to see what happened there in the month of April 2022. So without further ado, let's get into the numbers and see what is going on. Now, as always, we're going to start with the detached numbers. So you can see I've been tracking here, kind of going all the way back to January of last year for detached 2021. Listing sales, the median sale price, we're looking at our sale to listing ratio. If you follow the channel, if you watched this before, you understand my $1 million example by now. Our median days on market we've been tracking to kind of see what the pace of the market has been like. I've also started tracking the expired, suspended, and terminated. That's what this column means. So properties that have been taken off the market for any number of reasons, sellers not getting the price they wanted. Maybe they want to do a price adjustment, but they don't want to do a price change. They want to show as a new listing to kind of refresh. So all those things, I've been tracking that as well. And then you can see I've done it for 2022. So if we're looking at April of 2022, we had 318 new listings, and I've done the year over year and the month over month change. So it's kind of interesting this month because we did see more listings in April 2022 than we saw in April 2021 on the detached side. So that kind of bucks the trend that we saw back in February and March, where it was definitely a depression in new listings month over month or year to year, apologies, going back to 2021. As for the number of new sales though, saw a dip from March as well as a big dip from last year. So again, listings were up, but sales were down pretty significantly in that time. So what does that tell us? It tells us we probably saw a price drop, and if we go over here to the median sale price, we indeed did on the detached side. So down, using the median price again, just to kind of eliminate the top of the market, eliminate the bottom of the market in any given month with a smaller sample size is the number I like to focus on, just to let us know where the middle of the market actually is. So again, that median sale price of 1.23 million, still higher than anything we saw last year. I know some markets are kind of seeing price drops back to kind of below what we even saw kind of November, December of last year. But so prices have kind of held up in that regard. You can see month over month though. So we were up 15% from December to January. Then we were up 6% from January to February. And then we saw our first dip, followed by a slightly smaller dip this year. So is that indication that maybe we're starting to see the slowdown? Are we starting to see the slowdown though, and turning into more of a leveling off? So we're going to look at this month over month number come our May stats, and we'll keep our eyes in our weekly Whitby wraps to just kind of see, hey, are we reaching the potential bottom of a market? We never want to try and time that, but this is an indicator as this month over month change starts creeping towards zero. Maybe we start seeing a rebound at that point. So let's keep our eyes on that. Our sales to new listings ratio, again, we're not seeing that frenzy of crazy overpaying. We had sales listing ratio of 1.15, median days on market of 6. But again, we saw 145 listings expired, suspended, or terminated. So this number, if they're going back onto the market, it's actually going to inflate our new listings number a bit. So that could be one explanation as to why we're seeing, a positive year over year change in listings on the detached side. That's a little thing that I'm keeping my eyes on too, because as you can see, year to date, we're up 40.2% compared to last year at this time. So there's 199 expired, suspended, or terminated. This year there's already almost 280. And then again, looking at our listings year to date and sales. Listings are down in Whitby. Sales are down by even more, so 7% versus about 30%. Going to be something interesting to keep an eye on. We all know that rate increases are on the rise, on the horizon. We've already seen some. We're going to see another one in June. It's a guarantee. It's just kind of seeing what that number looks like. Will it be another 50 basis points? And as we start seeing some pre-approvals run out, sellers who have already bought having to sell, we may see the sale price continue to come down. Just gonna have to see where it ends up. Is it gonna end up kind of close to where we were at the beginning of last year, somewhere in the middle? We'll keep our eyes on that. Let's hop into our townhomes now. As we always say, it's kind of the second biggest market in Whitby. It's the second biggest market driver in Whitby. And what has happened here compared to the detached market? So we had 95 new listings, which again is up from last year, last April, but it is down from the month prior. Sales were actually down in both instances, so we are down from April of last year and also down from March of this year. And that median sale price has dipped back down below the $1 million mark for the first time this year. Really for the first time since December, $999, $999. You know what, let's not round up. Let's be legitimate about this. So back down to $931, and this is an example of, we're starting to see prices creep back to where they were kind of in the fourth quarter of last year. It's also a market where we saw some pretty significant gains month over month in median sale price. And again, if you look back to last year, though, we're still up about 20%. So I think healthy growth is around 6%. So we've been really experiencing some growth way above that the last couple of years. So it's not a surprise to start seeing this come down. Sales to new listings ratio, same as on the detached side, that 1.15 number, still moving very quickly for the ones that are selling. And in total, we had 31 listings that were expired, suspended, or terminated. Again, that's up from last year. And even the total, we can see, is up about that same 40% as on the detached side. Year to date, again, listings probably inflated a little bit by this number, but sales are down pretty significantly, that 22%. So, just the other interesting thing, similar trend to what we saw on the detached side. We saw a big dip in the median price from February to March. And then we saw another dip, but not quite as much of a dip. So is this because sellers aren't under the pinch yet and we're able to kind of take their house off the market and then try to put it back again? Like we may see this number creep back up to a bigger month over month change next month if these sellers are being forced to sell at a number that is less than what they actually wanted. So let's keep our eyes on that going forward too. Let's rip very quickly through the semis numbers. Again, just 13 new listings in April. We had 5 sales in total for a median sales price of almost 1.2 million. The sales to list ratio was 1.09. Median days on market of 7, and again 4 expired, suspended, or terminated. So in total for the freehold market for the town of Whitby in April of 2022, we are down 5.34% in listings altogether. So we've had, just shy of 1,300 this year so far. Last year at this point, we were just over 1,300. And in terms of sales, again, closer to that 30% number that we saw, 28.05%. So 713 sales this year so far on the freehold side versus 991. So if you remember in my Durham spring market prediction, I thought that we had borrowed some sales from last year. The 10-year average for sales, we blew way past that last year. I think we expected a bit of a pullback, and I think it's all just exacerbated by, Bank of Canada hiking rates. That's trickling into the variable side of things. Bond yields are up. That's trickling into or directly affecting your fixed rate mortgages. So those are also creeping up. And that all plays on a buyer's mentality. So it's only a question of, is this temporary in terms of it's a buyer mentality thing that is causing this slowdown? Like, will we get used to this later in the year and see prices start to rebound? I think the more likely, you don't want to be the doomsday bringer, but we could see prices continue to decrease, activity continue to slow for the rest of this year while we kind of just get our bearings, figure out what's going on. very quickly to the condo side now as well, and I apologize for neglecting the Whitby condos in my last couple videos. Thank you very much to the user who made a comment on my last video to bring these stats back. So for the month of April, this is the condo apartment side, we had 13 listings, 10 sales for a median sale price of $816,000. Your sales to listings ratio was 1.168. So following that same trend of, still selling quickly with the median days on market, but we are definitely either seeing prices listed more realistically or buyers just not paying quite as much. It's probably a bit of a combination of both when it comes to that sales to new listings ratio. And to wrap up, how about the condo townhomes? There were 29 listings, 16 sales for the $815,000 median sale price, 1.21 sales to new listing or sale price to list price ratio, and 7 was the median days on market. So condo apartments kind of bucked the general trend where we were up in listings and in sales from last year at this point. That's kind of off the back of a strong first 2 months of the year, though. You can see like year over year, we are down for March and April, but we had very strong Januaries and Februaries on the condo side. And then condo towns are kind of just mimicking what we're seeing in the freehold market. So listings down from last year at this time, but sales down by that kind of around that 30% number. So you're seeing sales down anywhere between 22 and 30% across all market types. Let's quickly dive into our activity for the month of April. So we've been tracking this going back to January, like we said. And as we remember, we were almost at 32 showings per new listing booked through the major booking platform that the most brokerages are using in the Whitby area. And that's fallen, I think we were even last week in terms of we were seeing the same activity, but there was even more of a slowdown, it appears, in terms of showings per new listing for the last week of April. So that number is down to 15.4 showings per new listing, so down 10.5% from last month. And then the other big one is, again, we talked that the number change isn't too much from 1.4 offers per new listing to 1.03, but percentage-wise, you're down another 25%. Here's just a big general recap of all the freehold properties, all the expired, suspended, and terminated. So, and you can even see, yes, we had less new listings in January and February, but the rate at which properties are being pulled off the market, being either expiring, suspended, or terminated, is increasing pretty drastically. So that will be a number to keep monitoring as we go throughout the next few months too. And the reason it's important, it just gives us an idea of, it's another indicator that tells us if we're shifting more towards a buyer's market, or if you're seeing less and less of these, it's a strong indicator that you're back to a bit more of a seller's market. So my quick Coles Notes recap again is that we did see listing activity slow down some more. We saw sales slow down even more than we saw listings slow down. And that resulted in kind of lower median sale price right across the board in Whitby. But like I said, it's kind of starting to, if you look at it on a chart, the curve, it's not kind of plunging down anymore. It's kind of curving out a bit, if you can see what I'm saying here. So the rate of decrease slowed down from month to month. So does that mean we're going to see the kind of peak? If I was to predict the peak based on these numbers, shot in the dark, I'd say we'll bottom out in the next few months. That would be my prediction. But again, let's see what happens with this next rate increase once some pre-approvals run out. Like I said, that could affect things even more than I'm anticipating. So stay tuned for more of these. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the Whitby market or broader markets in general down in the comments below. I'd love to have a discussion with you about it. If you have any questions about your pocket of town, your pocket of the city specifically, please feel free to reach out. I can put something similar like this together for you, in video format if you like, or just some charts and stuff. So thank you once again for watching this weekly Whitby wrap up, the month of April edition. Please subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos. Like this video if you found it useful, and share it with a friend who's kind of wondering, what's going on with my Whitby home, what's going on in the market in Whitby. I'm interested in moving out there. I would love for them to get some value out of this. So, until next week when we talk again, cheers.